Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where in the world you're connecting from. Today is August 8th, 2026, at least here in the US. We have Jill, Alba, and Blair Styraf. Alba is joining us from the US. Jill and Blair are joining us from New Zealand, and you guys are a day ahead. Thank you for joining us today. Um, well, we are going to talk about our experience in 2020. This is the reason we're all together because we all went to Cusco in 2020. And before we start, why don't you please, Jill, go ahead and introduce yourself in case, people know you already, but go ahead and introduce yourself if you want, who you are, what is it that you do, where you're located.
So I live in New Zealand in the South Island in a ski village, and Antonio and Alba came to New Zealand in 2019, and they put on an introspective hypnosis course here and met them both, and it was just wonderful.
Yep.
So I've been practicing ever since then. And then Alba and I did a body of work after we got back from Peru. That's another story. And we put the discourse together. And then I do a lot of channeling and writing. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Alba, people know you already. Just want to say hi, maybe.
You're not.
Oh, to be
So I,
famous.
yeah, I know. So I'm Alba Wyman. I've been doing hypnosis since 2014. I met Antonio in that time, and we've been colleagues ever since.
Yes.
I did go to Peru with him in 2020, and we'll talk about my experiences after that. But my body of work is on YouTube under my channel, Alba Wyman, and you could see lots and lots of sessions of the work I do there.
True. And last but not least, we have Blair Styra, also news from New Zealand. Blair, you want to say something before we start?
Well, hello to everybody. I'm Blair Styra. I live in Wellington in New Zealand. I've been a channel for a spirit entity called Tabash for, golly, it's about the last 38 years. I collaborated with Elba in 2020, where we did I don't know, we'll call it a soul retreat. And I love collaborating with people because it's such a great way of understanding how collective consciousness works. And of course, meeting up with Antonio and his wonderful family. Um,
Yeah.
you know, you think about people who are your soul family, and so these are the people, the energies that you link in with. It doesn't always have to be work related, but we all become sort of like lifelines, essential ingredients is the best way to put it.
Very
So
good.
Antonio and I, of course, are collaborating on this soul retreat in December, January, and yeah, I think it's an extraordinary time to totally link into the power of life that is being activated at this particular point. And I'm excited about this, and I know it would be an advancing experience for anybody who comes.
True. Thank you, Blair. And maybe people want to understand how is it that this event in Peru started, right? So we went there in 2020, but in 2019, if I'm not mistaken, I went there by myself, just scouting. I had been in Peru. The last time it was when I was 18 years old, a long time ago. So I wanted to just go again, experience that myself, before bringing people. I started getting this idea in my mind that I needed to start bringing people to Peru to have them get the experience. They're connecting with the land, the energy, the spirits. So that came to place. It happened that Alba was staying at your place. Well, she was in New Zealand. She was facilitating sessions there. And
I
I'm,
was
I'm
staying at Blair's place.
at
Yeah.
Blair's place, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was doing sessions at Blair's house, and your email came in early in the morning before breakfast.
Yeah. So saying if Alba wanted to join me, I'm trying to get Alba to join us. This is challenging, but she said yes, and she happened to be with Blair at that moment. She made a comment to Blair. Blair said, "I'm coming," and then we started teaching the course in New Zealand. And Jill said, "I'm coming," and a lot of people started coming. We're like 38 people altogether, if I'm not mistaken, in 2020, right? So
Yeah.
why don't we start by talking about our experience? I'm from Peru. I know how it feels, But how did it feel for you going to first to Lima and then to Cusco? How was your experience? Who wants to go first?
Well, I'll start first because I was doing sessions in Lima before the tour, and we were supposed to meet at a restaurant right at the water's edge, right on
That's
in the
Larcomar.
fall there,
That's the place.
right?
Larcomar.
And this is one of the things that I'll never forget. As I was crossing the street, going towards the restaurant, I heard that voiceless voice in my mind saying, "From this day forward, your life will never be the same."
Hmm.
And it was very like, what? And I met up with all of you in Peru, and um, at that time, I was not very open to this experience, honestly. I was very closed off. I was doing my work, and that was about it. I was not very sociable. Um,
I remember
and
that.
so,
Yes.
yeah, and so meeting up with people at a restaurant was not my idea of fun at that time. And so this voice kind of shot me in the head, and it was like, okay, what's that? That means it was almost like I was going into the abyss. I didn't know what I was getting into. And that was the beginning of my experience in Peru. And um, when we I made it through the rest through the dinner, and when we made it to Cusco, I remember very distinctly in the cab, in the taxi with Blair, and I just got this feeling that I had been there before. And that was a comment that Blair and I both shared. It's like, do you feel like you've been here before? And he said, yes, I do feel that. So that was the beginning of the Cusco experience. And I was still feeling very strange during that time. I knew something was up, but I didn't know what was happening. And and I remember during the workshop that we had with Tabash, I spent the majority of the time crying in that workshop. The tears were just flowing from me without me being able to stop them. It was very, very emotional. So I didn't know what was happening at all. And on the first day of our tour, when we started to go out, I had what I would consider like a near death experience without physically dying. We were in a spot, I don't know, Antonio, what it was called. It was kind of like a
Oh
cave.
my God, I remember. It was close to Sacsayhuaman. It was close to
Right.
Sacsayhuaman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when we went to Saxo Yoman,
Just
I had an experience where I touched the wall and I was able to see the festivities that the wall actually sees. I was able to see for the first time as I touched the wall, almost like a TV set in my mind of what was going through. It was like a
hmm
procession. And I didn't know anything about this place. And after that, we went to another place, and um, I basically lost all my ability to be sane. I felt like I was purging energy, and I kind of like blacked out with my eyes open.
hmm
And Tabash,
We had to
I
call
believe
Blair and call Tabash. Yeah, I
Blair
remember.
came over, and I don't know if it was Tabash or what other spirit was helping me, but when I opened my eyes from that experience, I was literally a different person. I came
I,
back as a different person,
I can vouch for that. Yes.
and all of a sudden, it was like I loved everybody. I was very open. It was a very strange experience. All of a sudden, it's like I felt very open. I felt like I loved everybody. I felt very close to everybody. I was very accepting of people, which before I didn't. And then when I came back from Peru, I didn't like anything that I used to like before. I didn't like the same colors. I didn't like the same furniture. I didn't like where I was living. And I started packing my house saying I was going to move, which made absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
So that's my experience from Peru. It
Interesting.
it actually changed my life.
Thank you, Alma. Interesting things happened. And I remember Jill, you started channeling. We were in Chincheros and you started channeling. Like, I don't want to say without control, but it was coming
Mm.
very, very often. What was your experience
That wasn't the beginning. The beginning started in Lima.
in Lima? Hmm.
So there were eight of us sharing a an Airbnb, all of us that had been in the introspective class in Wanaka.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I was sharing a room with Belinda. And at 3 a.m. in the morning, I woke up and I was told, the serpent is rising, the serpent is rising, the serpent is rising. And then straight afterwards, three times, the serpent is risen. And I thought, what on earth does that mean? But I knew it was important. I had to remember it. So in the morning, Belinda and I are sitting on the balcony having a morning coffee and just enjoying the air in Lima. It's just like a man, just Lima on its own is like a holiday, you know? It's just
It's
vibrant and fabulous, and the air and the feeling and the pulse of the city, just brilliant. And so I really recommend anybody that comes to definitely spend a few days in
Yes.
Lima
Yeah,
because
Lima has
Cusco is completely different.
right. Lima has different areas, right? We stay in the area of Miraflores, which is a very nice area. And yeah, it's true. Cusco is completely different, right? It's
Yeah.
different energy, right?
Yeah.
So then Belinda and I are sitting on the deck, on the balcony, and I said to her, this is what happened. What do you think it means? Because I didn't really know anything about Peru. I just
Hmm.
felt that pull that, oh, yes, this is great. I must come. And I thought, is the snake part of the ancient tradition? Is it a like a cougar or an eagle? Or, we were trying to think of all these ideas.
Hmm.
We then got on the little plane to go to Cusco,
Cusco, yeah.
and we were checking into the pension.
Hmm.
And that's another surprise. I mean, you go through these tiny little cobbled streets,
Yeah,
and then
Cusco
suddenly
is like
there's a
that.
door, and you think, well, what are we doing here? And you open the door, and there's this most magnificent place behind the door that you least expect. So,
Yeah.
so full of surprises. And we were all waiting to get our keys for our rooms. And Alba was sitting on the couch in the lobby, and everybody was coming in, and new people were arriving. And Alba looked at me and she just said, what do you see? And I didn't even know I was seeing anything. I don't even know why she even said that.
Hmm.
And I said, oh, but before that, she just introduced me to Christina. And as I looked at Christina, on her finger here was a snake that with going straight up, a little snake, a tattoo, and she had
Hmm.
it done that day. And I thought, wow, that's interesting. So Alba had just said, look, this is Jill. And I said, oh, hello. And then Albert says, what do you see? And I said, oh, it's a spaceship. It's shaped like a cigar or a blimp, and it's a biological entity. And this is where we all are, meaning some of the group from Lima. We are
Hmm.
inside. This is our headquarters. And I'm saying all this, and then right in the front of the spaceship, this blimp thing, I saw, which looks like when you used to wind your watch up, the little cog.
Okay.
It was a big cog in the front, and they said all of us that came from all over the world, we have to put our ankhs in the cogs, our
Okay.
keys of light, right? Uh, and then Christina turned to Alba and said, what is she talking about? And I was so embarrassed. I snapped out of it. I got my keys. I said, okay, bye. Yup. And it was like, what on earth was that? Went and shared a room with Dean. And then we had, Albert, did we have you and Blair at the Hilton Hotel, the gathering soon after that?
No,
No.
Much later.
No.
no, we never went back.
Yeah.
So what had happened just before I went to Lima, to Peru, somebody told me that you're going to do a lot of walking and you've got to be match fit. So I started practicing walking around
A lot
Wanaka
of
around the
walking.
lake. And I did so much in the wrong shoes that I got plantar fasciitis. So painful. So there we are in this place, and I don't know which place it was. And the group separated into three little groups.
Hmm.
And then we had like half an hour to ourselves. And I saw this old building on the hill, and there was a river running to the left. And inside me, there was such a force, and it kept on saying, "Come up the hill, come up the hill." And my Jill mind is going, "There's no way you're climbing up that hill. Your foot is killing you. Do not go up that hill." And there I am going up the hill. So I was there with Christina and Robbie and Zivy and Dean and myself. And it was a building, an old stone building, no roof, just a doorway.
Hmm.
And as soon as I went through the doorway, I started talking in this really soft voice. Dean got such a shock that he said, like, what on earth is going on? Because he just knew me as Jill, and hypnosis with you guys.
Right.
So he then took out his video and he started videoing me. Then snapped out of it, and we saw everybody was going back to the bus. So we ran down the hill, and then Dean got on the bus, your little bus, Alba, with you. Zivy stood next to me, and she sat next to me, and she said to me, "Jill, as soon as you walked through the door, you said, 'I hear voices.'" I said, "No, no, I didn't." She said, "Yes, you did." And Zivy's not the kind of person that's going to make something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that up.
Hmm.
And so I thought, that is so odd. And she said, what do you think it was? Because it's now the very first time anything like it had happened to me like that.
Hmm.
And I said to her, I remember one word. I said, it felt like I was the high priest of the tribe, and I was asking for a good harvest for my people. So we sat on that little bus, Googling the word that I had been
Hmm.
told, and we looked at each other. We went, what? And it said, goddess of the harvest, Sumerian goddess of the harvest.
Interesting.
So that was weird. So then we went
Yeah.
back to the hotel, and Alba said to me, I've just seen the video that Dean took. We're not going to separate the group when this happens. If this happens, no, when this happens again. I said, this is never going to happen again. This is never going to happen
And
again.
and it's interesting that you mentioned a spaceship, and I remember we took pictures. I took pictures of you in Narcomar, and there were some lights at in the background. And then last time we had an interview with Blair, we also talked about pictures that I took from you, and you saw like a
Yeah.
UFO or something. Remember?
Yeah, yeah. Well, what happened was when we were going up to that mountain lake.
Oh
Yes.
yeah,
Um,
that's
This
Umantai.
yeah,
that
yeah.
one.
Oh, that
Yeah.
one, yeah.
Umantai.
And
Yes, Umantai.
and of course, as you're going sort of on that plateau area before you go actually up, you had the background of the most extraordinary mountains and this lushness and I said to Antonio, "Oh, could you take a photo of me?" So he took about four in a row, and anyway, we carried on. And then when I actually came back to New Zealand and downloaded everything onto my computer, and I've got a 27-inch, screen, and so I'm looking. I found these photos, you see, and it's basically the same photo, but then one, two, three, and I'm like, what? And so what occurred was that this cigar-shaped UFO suddenly popped up from the clouds.
You see? Okay.
And
Gosh,
I mean it
that's
was
So,
and I
uh,
was able to zoom up and it's really obvious.
I'm the UFO photographer then.
Yeah, there you go. And but I made sure that it wasn't some sort of anomaly or something like that. But yeah, it was really obvious.
Yeah, yeah. How was your experience, Blair? Because I was observing everybody. I was so happy and honored that people decided to come and go to my country and experience the culture and trust in what I was saying.
Mm, mm.
Come to Peru, come to
Yeah,
Cusco. There are a lot of things to
yeah,
experience here.
yeah.
I saw that you were connecting at so many levels to
Oh,
the
look,
point that you
I
were
think
even getting emotional. I
yeah,
remember that.
I found I think I was in an altered state, the whole time. And I'd never been to South America. I've never been to a country like that. Most of the countries I've been to were more Western influenced and
Right.
Europe and America and Australia, New Zealand, etc. And and it was the word that comes to my mind was it was thrilling. I could feel this vibration and energy. But I actually had been spending some time in Los Angeles, and so I flew from LA to Lima.
Mhm.
And when I got off the plane in Lima, a voice in my head said, "This is the end of everything, but this is the beginning of everything."
Mm.
Hmm.
And I remember thinking, what's that? And then, I just never assumed, anything. I just thought, all right, well, learn how to trust those sorts of things. And then I suppose the familiarity of it just unfolded for me right from the very beginning. And when you go to a place that your soul recognizes, I could feel within me all these different activations going on within me. It's like being there suddenly activated not just the memories and the emotions, but a
Yeah.
power that I could only, I suppose the word I'm going to call, I went there to claim a power.
Okay.
And so through the whole process of being there, it was just like that. And I was with my girlfriend at the time, and we spent before we joined you guys at the pension. We went to the this sort of five-star hotel. We thought we'd just go and give ourselves a little bit of a
Yeah.
break.
Yeah. Hmm.
Monasteria, do something or other. I can't remember
It was
the.
like a
Yeah. There's
palace.
a monastery. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it was
Okay.
it was like a palace.
It was a palace.
And anyway, so she had booked it from LA. Anyway, when we got there, they had upgraded us to a suite.
Oh, wow.
You know, so it's
It
just
was
That's a
like
nice
amazing.
touch.
yeah, yeah, and it was just like I mean to put it into perspective, when we moved into the Airbnb little hotel that we were all staying in together,
Right.
the bathroom in the suite we were in was actually bigger than the room that we had in the pension.
Okay.
And but just the whole time we were there, and Julie felt the same. It was just this vibe, this energy, and 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 then just all my experiences were I don't know, it was magical, the whole time.
Yeah.
And then of course
Yeah.
the group, we all blended so quickly, and and
It
and
was
so there was
magical.
oh, it was absolutely,
Yeah.
and I've done stuff like this before, and you often get, little groups separating into their little
Mm.
factions, you see.
Hmm.
But this group, as the others will attest to, everyone was just there for each other, supporting each other.
It, it was
Yeah,
nice. I
yeah,
remember, well, we had our guides and our friends now. We had Yuri and Hector, our not spirit guides, but tour guides.
yeah,
And you connected with Yuri. You remember something. I remember when you were saying goodbye.
yeah,
The last day we were seeing Yuri. We saw Hector for one more day,
yeah.
and you connected with him. What happened? What do you remember?
Oh, it was just kindred spirits, that whole sense of I know your soul, and again, I always look at when you find an alignment with certain individuals, uh, you become activators for each other,
Yeah.
and yeah, it was actually quite emotional saying goodbye.
Yeah, I
You
remember.
know,
I was like,
so it was this whole sense of camaraderie, brotherhood, kinship, you know, this whole alignment to um, it's almost like, oh yeah, it's you again.
hmm
You know, this is pick up the thread.
We all work
And
together for a reason there. There
yeah,
was no coincidence.
yeah, yeah. Well, I think any group that happens like this, you know, every soul has put out a call one way or another.
Hmm.
Because particularly at this time in history, people are advancing themselves
Yeah,
in a most extraordinary way. So of course, there's a lot of events all over the world that people can choose from,
yeah.
and so people are drawn into these places. Tobash has talked about it, where he says, through the whole world, there are countries that are activation points for the advancement of yourself as source. And so all over the world, these places are being more activated because of the uh, bigger collective light consciousness that is happening now.
Hmm.
And and
Yes.
and Peru is one of those places.
Yep.
And so everybody who's a part of this is basically, I suppose, going to be activated.
Yeah. We all connected with each other
Mm.
in many levels when it comes to energy
Yeah,
and spirit.
yeah,
But
yeah.
we also got activated. I was not the same. Alba was not the same. You just said it, Jill. You were not the same.
It was definitely not the same.
I remember Maricel. Maricel also started channeling without almost any control, and everybody was. They were. I mean, they started waking up their gifts. I think
Yeah,
they were
yeah,
enhancing the gifts that they already had. It was amazing to
yeah,
see.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people made a lot of peace with themselves on that
Yeah.
particular trip.
Well, what I found out with my experience is that when I had gone to that cave-like place, that was a place of sacrifice, where there were human
Mm,
sacrifices there, and I was the executioner.
mm,
And so the people who were in the group were either the priests or the victims. And I had taken a lot of that energy uh,
mm,
on into myself, into my soul. So when I got there and I was purging, it was like I was purging these souls whose life I had taken, and it was an incredible experience
Yeah.
to live that. It took me a while not to see the video that was recorded and not cry because it was just it was
Yeah.
crazy, but
He,
it changed me. It
he,
changed me. It was the old version left, the old executioner left, and
yeah,
this new version of me came back.
yeah.
Can I
When
tell you
you're
what
saying,
happened? So, Carrie, you carry on.
oh yeah, just a quick thing that I'm feeling is it's like almost like a message, is that in that lifetime you had to sacrifice your happiness of yourself for the unhappiness of other people, and so taking their lives, etc. basically.
Yeah,
And so
yeah,
what you did was that you literally forgave yourself. And then in the forgiving of yourself, then you purged, you completely emptied yourself and had closure on all of your guilt and distress and all that sort of energy. But also my feeling was that you also accepted the forgiveness of all those who were part of that, and particularly those who were there. And that's why, I've been shown all those women that surrounded you. Remember, Tobash said, drew all these women around you, see?
yes,
And, Gusi saying this, and
this,
all those women who surrounded you
yep.
were your victims,
mhm,
and so what happened was that now they surrounded you and they were giving you life
yeah,
and
Yeah.
helping you to birth yourself into this, new version of yourself. So,
exactly. Yeah,
Good. Jill, you were going to say something.
yeah,
So Sabr Sabrina and I were standing at the top. We hadn't gone down yet. Everybody else was doing whatever. Sabrina and I were there. The very next minute, we heard, Alba, Alba, oh my God, Alba. Somebody call Blair. I don't know if you said that.
No, I think
Somebody
I
called
said
Blair.
let's go Blair. Yeah, I think I was the one that said let's go
And
Blair.
then Sabrina's next to me and she goes, can you see Jesus? I said, no. Yes, Jill, you can. You can. Can't you see Jesus is standing next to Alba? I said, Sabrina, I can't see Jesus. And then Blair said, could somebody please just help Alba up the steps? And I put my hand on your arm and as I connected with you, it was like electric shock going through my body. And I saw this huge rock with a split down the middle, like an entrance, and they're showing me this cave and everything
Hmm.
happening in the cave. And I said, Alba, they're telling me it happened in the cave and they're using the word sacrifice. And you said, yes, but it was me, I was doing the sacrificing. Afterwards, Rena and Bettina said they were in that cave as well. And I don't know which one said what. Oh no, it was Bettina that said, look at all this blood everywhere. And Rena said, don't worry about the blood. Look at this arm coming out of the wall
Jesus
to,
Christ.
right, to grab us. Laura was outside the cave seeing all the souls, but she got so overwhelmed and she knew that it was her job to help them. But later
Mm.
I hypnotized Laura and they said that she's got to release that sorrow or that feeling that she hadn't done her job because they said the power of the group of all of us, as Blair said earlier, accelerating each other, that all those souls left when we were there. And they told me that Blair is an amplifier. So whoever goes to Peru, Antonio, with you and Blair, will just, whatever gift, if their gift is like this, or the ability they don't even know, will just go, poof, poof, poof,
Yeah.
poof.
Yeah, thank you. But that's I didn't know anything about. I didn't know what was going to happen. I think none of us knew. I don't know,
Oh,
but we were experiencing different things, and we were connecting, and we were getting activated. I
yeah,
remember, Alba, you mentioned to me that you had a session with Tabash before the actual tour started, right there in
yeah,
Cusco, I think. Right?
yeah,
Do you remember
yeah.
what he said?
Yeah, I was basically told that you are going to die on this trip.
It's a very nice thing to say, right?
Yeah.
And here I am.
But you will be reincarnated into a different aspect of yourself.
Oh, well, that was
It's
true,
like
wasn't it?
that was the new beginning he was talking about, right?
Yeah,
This is the
yeah,
end and the beginning of everything.
Yeah,
yeah,
well,
yeah, yeah,
he was, yeah, to me, it was like your life will never be the same from this moment
yeah,
on.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, well,
He,
I tried to ignore that. I kind of like it went in one ear and out the other because I didn't want to think about dying on the trip.
Yep, you
That's
wanted
just
to
one of
enjoy yourself.
those things. Just,
yeah,
but yeah, I was told that the day before the workshop,
Yep,
that which is 2 days before this happened, that I would be dying on this trip, but will be
yeah, but
reincarnated
yep,
into another aspect. So
yep,
this is
yep,
the new and improved Alba
yep,
since 2020.
you did
yes,
change. I remember that.
I
Everybody
did.
noticed that.
yeah.
Oh
Oh, of
yeah.
course, absolutely, yeah, yeah. Complete
Hmm.
metamorphosis. It's almost like how Tobias uses the analogy of how you wear yourself in life. And it
Yeah.
was just like you could see that Alba was wearing herself differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was obvious, but it was also subtle at the same time. But
And it
for people,
continues. And
of
it
course,
continues.
yeah. Well,
I
I think
keep,
that's the same for all of us, actually.
yes.
Yes, yes,
Yep,
true.
yep.
We're not the
But I
same.
Yeah.
just, yeah, getting back to that statement I made, of course, when I came back to New Zealand, I realized, when I was thinking about that, um, that was when COVID hit, and so when I remember arriving in Lima, and it was just easy and cozy, and then going back to Los Angeles, it was Armageddon. It was just absolutely crazy. I've never seen anything like it or experienced anything like it in my whole existence.
Yeah.
And then I remember thinking at that time, looking up, this is like the end of times. And then I thought, oh, Spirit said to me, this is the end of everything. And the world stopped at that point. So suddenly the way everything was, that was the end of life as we knew it, so to speak. And yet at the same
Yeah,
time, the beginning of life as we knew it.
yeah,
And so because I just remember the most bizarre, we got through customs and then got onto the plane, and it was this huge plane going to LA, and there was only 8 people on it. And then getting into LAX, you know how it usually is. It takes forever, to get through there. We landed, I got my bags, went through customs, was in a cab within half an hour.
Jeez.
And it was just LAX was like this enormous mausoleum.
yeah.
And then driving through the streets of Los Angeles on the way to the hotel, no traffic,
No,
and going into the hotel, and it was just, because I'd been in the same hotel before I went to Lima, and it was the atmosphere was just completely altered,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
and it was just walking again into this emptiness that was there basically. See,
yeah.
and
When
and
I
I was just,
arrived,
yep,
yeah, when I arrived in Miami, there were no
It's a
taxis,
ghost
no
town.
cars.
yeah,
There was
yeah,
nothing out there, and I
yeah, yeah,
couldn't get an Uber. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I need to walk at least 4 or 5 miles to get to my car that's parked at my
yeah,
sister's house.
yeah,
Will I have to walk all the way to her
yes,
house because there were
yep,
no cars, but
yep,
no traffic either. I did get an Uber,
yep.
but yes, it was a very strange. It was like being born on a different planet.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, it was
We,
absolutely, and yeah,
we were in a space of bubble during those days. We went
mm,
back to Lima, just to Lima, and everything was different. You
yeah,
guys were able to make it out of Peru. I was staying a few more days, but then we got the lockdown, right? And then my kids were able to make it back to the US, but I had to we still in quarantine for 10 days in an apartment.
yeah,
But the interesting thing is that Tabash was preparing us for it. You might not remember, Blair, in the workshop you and Alba facilitated. Tabash was telling the story that he was passing by a town, you know, and there had been a disease, like an epidemic or something like that. And a lot of people had died and they were afraid to interact with each other, and everybody was keeping in their place. And when I was in quarantine, I said, this is what he was talking about. That's exactly what is happening, right? The last day, we did the ceremony, the last day in Cusco, and Tabash said, you're all going back to your countries, to your cities, and everything will be different. And that's exactly what happened. Yeah. It was
So
good.
much happened
yeah.
there, so much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, as you're saying that, I'm thinking that the same thing will happen, not with the pandemic, but you know, because of the way everything and everyone has evolved since that time.
true.
Let's just say we're a lot more qualified as light beings, and so our whole approach to everything is actually different. So I think anyone who gets involved in the group that we're running, it's like they're wanting to look at their involvement within themselves on this higher level,
Hmm.
and so we're both bringing a particular frequency, and our collaborative energy
Right.
is assisting people in going into a higher level of authenticity. And just recently I did an event here in Wellington, and someone asked Tabasha a question, which was, can you explain your authentic self? And Tabasha said, well, look, your authentic self is not a higher part of you in the way that you think in human terms. He says, when you're embrace the idea of your higher nature, God nature, whatever you want to call it, you always seek for versions of yourself. And he says your authentic self is actually you knowing you are life. And that there is no degree of separation to that. So authenticity is life. And your awareness of that means you are now living your authentic self. So
Mhm.
you're completely aligned, completely connected to absolutely everything. There are no degrees of separation. Therefore, you have what did he say? Total access to all of the power of life. And I
Yeah.
think that this is what's occurring. We're moving into that state of consciousness. And as I'm saying this, I'm Tobias is now showing me stuff,
Yeah.
and and he says because of all the way that we're more advanced, we're actually like activators of well, he's calling it activators of the stones, activators of the temples, activators of the land, activators of everything. So our presence is actually allowing people to metaphorically hear when we go to these places. So it's almost like we're making things become alive, consciously.
Hmm.
And so therefore people will have the experiences um, of a living energy, because everything has a soul, even if it's just a block of stone, it's still alive.
Right.
And so, I mean, all of us in our own ways have experienced that. And so this is, what he's also saying here is that, when people participate, they're going to become more alive and therefore access more of the power of life. And then when they go back home, they'll be more confident in deciding what to do. And I'm just thinking about, with Elba's, reincarnation. It's like she just went home, looked at her old self and go, nah, and just simply started to reorganize her
Right.
life around her new self, basically. So,
Very
So
good.
as you're talking, Blair, they keep on showing me this huge gift box, big white box with a big red bow on the top. And then the lid comes off. And they said, this is Peru with you and Antonio. So it's like people have been keeping themselves in a box and they
mm,
don't realize that they are the gift.
mm,
But the gift of Peru is lifting off the lid
mm,
so that they can
mm.
really see the gift that they are.
Yes, yeah,
So
yes,
all those that have been thinking, I'm not enough, or I'm not good enough, or what about this, or what about that?
mm,
Peru's going to
yes,
open them
yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah. Do you remember when we went to Machu Picchu, and then we were told that no one was allowed to speak. They wouldn't let all the teachers and New Agers speak because they get too many of that sort of stuff. And
Yeah.
then was it Angel, I think his name was, that he went
Angel.
It
and
was
he went and had a talk, and then he came back and he
was
said
Yuri, I think. Yeah.
Yudi, and he said the elders are allowing you to speak, pointing at me. And that's when were Tabash was
Mm.
permitted to speak. So they must have had a little bit of a chat and said, yeah, he can speak.
We
And
got
that's
some help from above.
yeah, oh yeah, totally. But the other thing that I remember is that because obviously up there it gets a lot of rain, and yet the day that we were there, it was just stunningly beautiful. It was little dappled clouds, and it was quite pleasant, etc. And we
Yeah.
were able to walk around, do other things. And I just remember very specifically. And remember they had they got those enormous big gates with the doors.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember as we were walking through, and then the gates closed, and in a second the heavens opened up. It just went just like
Yeah.
that. And I remember looking up, going, okay.
Yeah, I mean, with you guys was the first group that I took, and it took other groups after that, and we have improved the way in what we do things, right? I'll be posting some pictures as we talk, right? But just keep in mind that the experience is the same, but I don't
Yeah,
want to say it's better organized, but it's organized in a different way, and it's longer because when you guys went, I think it was only 5 days. Now we're staying 8 days,
yeah,
so. What advice do you have for people? My advice is number one, don't wait because we're going to by mid-October close registration. We need to purchase everything ahead of time. Plane tickets, don't wait. You need to book your plane tickets so you don't have any issues. I It's not fair. I'm proving always going to tell you it's going to be an amazing experience over there. But what do you guys want to say? What is it that people should expect from from Peru, from Lima, from Cusco, from this time together?
Do you
I'm
want
going
to
to
go,
say,
Blair?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, um, I'm going to say, don't expect anything. Go as a blank piece of paper, but go as a really good observer, so that therefore, as you have your experiences, you're writing on your blank piece of paper,
Yep.
and that way you allow the naturalness of things to just unfold. And I think it's a country that it helps you to be really honest with yourself and allow that. I would say allow the
Yes.
honesty of yourself, allow the honesty of the experience, and allow the connectedness that you have with the people who are participating. So,
Yes. This is going to take people out of their comfort zone.
mm,
But whenever we're taken out of our
mm,
comfort zone, that means that we're learning something new. So we need to
yep,
be open for that.
yes,
Sure.
yep,
Jill, you might want to say something.
well, as Blair, I'm tell you, Tabash comes in. I don't know who's popping in for me, but this happens every time Blair and I are together. And then as soon as he says something, I get these images. And he said a blank piece of paper, and they've given me this, the beautiful old-fashioned paper that's good quality. And then you put the ink, like proper fountain pen ink, and then that ink travels through that paper. They said that Peru will spread them, just spread them. And I think what we haven't mentioned, we've we have mentioned the soul and the growth and the information and how things change you. But let's talk about the holiday side of things. The
The-
food.
that
That
that by itself is an experience.
that's what I'm saying. So that was so beautiful. The food was organic. It's just all organic. And the
Right.
juices and the cobbled streets and the people that are so welcoming, that are so family oriented.
the pisco sours.
Pisco sour.
Yeah.
Boy, they're strong.
Yeah.
And traveling in the bus all the way to that salt mine with the vastness. The,
Mm,
there's so much more
mm,
Yeah.
to that place
yep.
than people have any
Yes.
idea. They regardless, they'll have the holiday of a lifetime and they'll come back feeling so much lighter.
Yeah, this time we're spending New Year's there, and this is completely different to what you're used to. Of course, I
Yeah.
miss New Year's in Peru, but New Year's in Cusco is a whole different experience. So we're going to be there, and Blair, you and Tabash mentioned that the energy will be special during
Mm,
that time of the year. So
yep,
I'm really
yep,
looking forward to that.
yes, yep, yep. Well,
Thanks
it's
for
going to
taking
be,
us.
yeah, yeah, such a
My pleasure.
celebration energy, you know. So,
Yes, yes, Alba. I tried
Yeah,
to convince you to come with us again many times. I failed.
my soul has different plans this year.
Yeah.
I tell people, all my clients about this when they're with me. I tell them about considering going here because um, if it's on your bucket list, why not go for a totally different type of experience? This is not just a tour to Peru or Machu
Yeah, no,
Picchu,
it's
or
different.
it's not. It's really an experience. And you have both of you there. Antonio, you have been there many, many times. You bring together the people, the shamans, the experience that they're not going to have with anybody else. Bringing Blair with Tabash, my God, that's just an experience in its own to
Hmm.
have that experience. So if it's on your bucket list, oh, I've always wanted to go to Peru. I hear that all the time. Well, make it happen.
Mm.
This is the
Yeah.
opportunity, and you're bringing in a brand new year in a totally different place with a totally different
mm,
experience. And if this happened to me, and it changed my life, and I wasn't experiencing
Yeah.
anything. I went in as a blank piece of paper, and I came out as a totally different version. So be open to the experience. Give
mm,
yourself this gift of Peru.
Yeah,
And can I just
yeah.
add something here? Is that I want people to understand, how can I even put this? Not the power of Blair, the gift, the ability, but when we went to Peru, when we got back, and of course, I got back into the country the night the country was closing down at 12 o'clock. That's it. I got in the afternoon. Now, my father died, and he was in Africa, and we were locked up here. And I said to Greg, I don't care. I'm getting in the car and I'm going to the lake. And I had to talk to my dad. I didn't tell anybody that my father died. Three of the girls from that trip texted me on the same day, and they said, have you ever had a reading with Blair, with Tabash? And I thought, listen to the message that's coming for you, Joel. Obviously, you have to have a reading with Blair. And so I booked in with Blair. The very, very first thing that happened was he said, I've got your father here. And he said, thank you for the talk at the lake. Well, then that, that's what I needed, that very first anchor for me, because I'm very skeptical, I'm very black and white, and that I knew, right, this Blair's the real deal. And the very next thing he said, I've got James here, Jesus's brother. And remember what happened to me in front of all of you. He said, we opened you up. We opened your vehicle in Peru because we want to use you now as a channel. So I think all the components were there for them to have you, Antonio, and Blair together for this trip. Like just those snippets that Blair have shared with us today. He's going to be doing that every day. Tabash loves to chat.
Right.
So they're going to be
Yes.
little
Yeah,
gifts. And you
yeah.
know, Blair came as a client last year to Egypt. Tabash came through and started giving messages to everybody in the group. And there was one girl that he gave a message to that was so on point that it literally saved her life. So incredible, just
Gonna be an
incredible.
experience.
Yeah.
Don't wait. People might say, I tried it next year. Every time I go to Cusco, I don't know if I'm coming back. You know, the world is becoming a different place. Every country is becoming a different place. We never know what's going to happen. This is in one in a lifetime opportunity, I guess, where Blair and I are collaborating. You know, we don't know if that's going to happen again. So don't wait. We're going together for a reason. Okay. Guys, thank you very much for spending these minutes together. I feel it was important to share with everybody our experience because I can say beautiful things about Peru, and that's not fair because I'm Peruvian. I will always say nice things about my country, but I wanted people to hear from you what you guys experienced, and people follow you and they respect you and they believe in what you say. So it's good. Thank you, all of you. Anything you want to say before we say goodbye? We disconnect.
Always be listening to your real self, your soul self, when it comes to how you want to do the driving. Recognize that this is a time in human history where a lot of lights are being turned on, and for people who are really wanting to know themselves more, go and investigate as much as possible because there is so much out there, and but the way to approach it, you have to do it from your soul now. We in the past we could rely on our human nature, but now we've evolved beyond our human nature, so now we have to rely on our higher nature to direct our human nature.
Hmm. Very good. Thank you very much. I'm gonna say goodbye, but I'm staying with you for a few more minutes. Okay. Bye all. Thank you.
Bye.
Cheers.
Thank you, everybody. Bye bye.